presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality. Faster than an airplane, more powerful than a locomotive, impervious to bullets.
Up in the sky, look, it's a bird, it's a plane.
It's a podcast.
Race a high-powered bullet to the target. With tremendous weight, bend solid steel in his bare hands, as though it were...
Hello everybody out there, and welcome back to another episode of It's a Podcast. This week, we are forgoing the comic books, we're forgoing the comic book news. Basically, we're forgoing everything except one thing, Street Fighter. That's right, guys. As of the 1st of July, all the way through till the end of August, my channel is going through its first ever summer event, the Street Fighter Summer Event. And what that is, it's a little minor series that I'm going to be doing for the next 2 months. Basically, once or twice a week, we'll have a video dedicated to Street Fighter. Whether it be on this channel, it's going to be mostly reviews, if not all reviews. And it's also reaching out to Brooklyn Boys, where we're going to be playing a bunch of different Street Fighter games, whether it be Versus, the story mode, whatever. We're going to be touching every single game we own, and we're going to be having a bunch of fun doing it. Also, though, at the end or the middle of August, when the Turtle movie hits, we're also going to be dedicating a solo week while still doing Street Fighter to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's going to be mostly on Comic Frontline, but you guys know it's going to reach out to this channel as well. So, and it'll probably reach out to Brooklyn Boys again, because we do have a couple of Turtle games we can do. So there's a lot to look forward to this month, but that's not what we're here for. This week, this podcast is going to be all about Street Fighter. And then, of course, there will be the Zone 4 segment, which Brant is going to be telling us his post-Derby City Comic Con feelings and how he enjoyed the convention. And then we're going to be going into the rundown, which I know Brant is very, very busy the next couple of weeks. So Michael will probably be sitting in with me for those rundowns. At least this week's, and we'll see about next week. But hopefully we'll have Brant back on the rundown. If not by next week, absolutely by the following week. But anyway, this week, Street Fighter. So I've gotten a few people already who've asked me, Chris, why is Street Fighter Summer Event? And actually there are two reasons. The first being, of course, that I'm a humongous Street Fighter fan. I've always enjoyed Street Fighter. I've played it since I was a kid, and we'll get into my history with Street Fighter in a little bit. But later on, when I started actually doing my comic reviews, I realized that I found out that Street Fighter has their own comic series. Yeah, I know. It's been around for a long time, Chris. Where have you been? Well, look, I was always in DC. When I started doing my comic reviews and I started looking into other companies, that's when I found out that Street Fighter actually had its own comic series, and it was actually going on at that time. And if you guys go back far enough, you'll see I actually did do a review of a few of the Street Fighter comics I started to get. However, they started coming out late at some point, and then the series I started reading ended, and a new series started, and it just got very confusing to the point where I didn't buy anything. But the good news with Udon is they took all of the Street Fighter stuff and they put it into hardcovers, and that's one thing we're going to be, like I said, covering. We're going to be trying to cover a bunch of the series that have come out already, series that are going to be coming out, and we're just going to be covering everything. Let's leave it at that. Whatever we can get our hands on book-wise, we'll be covering. And the good news is, this July, Street Fighter 4 will be coming out in hardcover, so we'll be getting that book. What really fueled the whole interest in Street Fighter, actually, though, it all started at New York Comic Con Special Edition when myself and Michael, we were at Midtown, I remember, and we saw the big book. We saw the big Street Fighter book. It was Super Street Fighter A New Beginning. It was Volume 1. And we looked at it and we're like, we used to love reading Street Fighter, and somebody had taken the plastic off one, so we were just sifting through the pages. And the book looked spectacular. It was the artwork we remember from when we were getting the individual issues. So we were like, you know what? We really should think about doing something with Street Fighter. And that's when I was like, you know what? It's going to be summer. It isn't July yet. I have time to put together a really cool event. And that's what really sprung the whole Street Fighter event. We didn't buy the book at New York Comic Con Special Edition. Obviously, you guys saw the haul on Comic Frontline. We ended up buying the book along with Akuma's Origin on Amazon. And we have them now, and we're going to be starting with those 2 books. So there's a little bit of a spoiler for you for the first couple of episodes we're going to be doing. But there are a bunch of other books. There are other toys. There's a bunch of things out there for Street Fighter now. Of course, because we're doing the Turtles right now, we have to conserve a little bit with the toys. But there are a lot of books. I think we're going to be basically spending the entire summer on the books, actually, because there's a lot of books. There's actually a fair amount. Some of them are pretty pricey, but there's a fair amount of books. So mostly reviews are going to be going on here, and like I said, we're going to be covering lots and lots of games on Brooklyn Boys. So you got like the full on amount of Street Fighter. Now, the second reason, and the coolest, because I didn't even know this until after we decided to do this, is Super Street Fighter Volume 2 comes out this August, or at least that's what it's slated as to coming out. When I was looking around for the comic books, I wanted to see what volumes were what. I was trying to figure out where I had to go, what I had to start with, what books collected what. And then I noticed at the very bottom of the list on Udon, there was Street Fighter Volume 2, and it's slated for August 2014. And I was like, oh, wow. Awesome. So basically, towards the end of this event, we will have the newest Street Fighter book, as long as it comes out as per schedule, and we'll be able to review that, and that's how we're going to probably be ending the Street Fighter Summer event on this channel, is through the new book, where we're going to be going probably either chapter by chapter or 2 chapters in a row. I don't know, but I will promise you guys that if the book does come out this August, that's probably how we're going to be ending Street Fighter Summer, with the newest book, giving it a review. And I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think that between the games and the books and everything else that we have for Street Fighter, we're definitely all going to be having a bunch of fun this summer doing this event. And who knows, maybe it'll reach out to Comic Frontline at some point. I don't know. It's a possibility, but I know for a fact that the Turtle one will. But again, we're here for Street Fighter. So why Street Fighter? Why did I pick Street Fighter? It goes back to my childhood. Like I said, when I was a kid, I didn't like fighting games. To be honest, Super Smash Brothers wasn't around. So Super Smash Brothers, everybody, doesn't count, by the way. I'm talking about fighting games. There's Street Fighter, there's Tekken. There's a whole bunch of fighting games out there. Smash Brothers came way later. So when I talk about fighting games, I'm not talking about Super Smash Brothers. So you could eliminate that from your fighters game list for me, because I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, but Chris, if you don't like fighting games, why do you play Smash Brothers? Smash Brothers came later, and it's a game I only play on Brooklyn Boys, honestly. I really don't play online either, but it's a game I do play next to Street Fighter. So just take that off of your list for right now. We're going back to childhood. I didn't like fighting games. I never was a fan of it. I liked the first person shooters, I liked the adventure games, I liked a bunch of other things, but fighting games just if you're not playing in a tournament or for a prize or whatever, they just didn't have a reason. There was no point to play it for me. My brother Michael loves fighting games, and him and Kevin play all the time, whether it be Street Fighter, Tekken, Mortal Kombat, Marvel vs. Capcom, anything you can imagine Mike and Kevin have played. Soul Calibur is another one. Me, I never really got into that. I was always into I needed something story-driven. And yeah, Mortal Kombat had its story-driven moments, but The one game that always got the exception was Street Fighter. As a kid, no matter where I went, whether it be a pizzeria, an arcade, a tape rental store, yeah, believe it or not, there were tape rental places before Blockbuster way back when, before there was, Fire or whatever, or the things you could order online, or Netflix or whatever. There were actual, movie rental stores. Yeah, I know I'm old. So, and in the stores, they would have these arcades, and it would always be either a racing game or Street Fighter. I don't know. I guess growing up with it always in front of me and always getting quarters from whoever to play an arcade game, I guess that's where I started to gain my appreciation of the Street Fighter franchise. It just built from there. It built up to I enjoyed that game, playing the games. We actually got the games. I remember we went to a hotel once, and you can pay to have a game system, the video games on the TV, because it was boring, and the TVs didn't have exactly all the channels Mike and I wanted. And guess what was one of the games? Street Fighter Alpha. Or was it Alpha 3? One or the other. But anyway, Street Fighter has just played this really awesome role in my growing up with video games. That's why I got the exception, because it was just fun, and Mike and I would either go crazy playing the story mode where it was almost ridiculous to play sometimes, or we would just verse each other and have fun with it. Characters like Ryu and Ken were always my top favorite characters. Ken was from America, so I was always like, yeah, Ken. But then everybody loves Ryu. I think I can hardly think of any fan of Street Fighter that doesn't like Ryu. Also, Ryu has that kind of like darker side. There's the dark Ryu, which is basically his costume in reverse, and he has like the red eyes, and he's possessed. Same thing with Akuma. There's Akuma and Dark Akuma, which is weird because Akuma's already evil, so a Dark Akuma kind of never made sense to me. But maybe it's a different name and I'm completely wrong, but it was always cool. And then you have Gouken, who's the one that actually trained Ken and Ryu. There's always that. I love the debate with the Ryu. Growing up as a kid, I called him Ryu, and everybody called him Ryu forever. I mean, even in the movie, they called him Ryu. And then it turns out later on, people are like, no, it's actually pronounced Ryu. And they actually say it in the anime as Ryu. And that's where I found out about the anime, by the way, which there are a few actual movies. We'll probably be covering those, like I said, at some point as well. We got that with the 25th special edition, but we'll talk about that also. But the debate to this day still goes on where people fight over whether it's Ryu, I don't care. The character, whether his name be Ryu or Ryu, is an amazing character. Ken is another amazing character, but a lot of people mark, towards those characters, and they forget about all the other characters. And what I liked about Street Fighter is every game brought a new series of characters, like Rose. The latest game brought us Rufus and a few others that completely left my mind. But Street Fighter 4 honestly didn't give me too many interesting new characters. Street Fighter X Tekken was another fun game where we got Tekken versus Street Fighter. The one game I'm waiting for, I'll tell you guys soon, is another game, but I don't know. The game itself just really held me for a long time. I've always had like some form of a Street Fighter game in my collection, even with the older ones. For PS2, we found Street Fighter EX, which is a really interesting 3D Street Fighter game, which we will cover on Brooklyn Boys, and we'll show you guys the game itself. I'm sure we played it before, but it's a really interesting game, and it takes Street Fighter to a different level, but of course it didn't work, so they brought it back to the older level later on. But the games have always been a foundation to my liking of Street Fighter. Then later on, I found out, like I said, they made some movies, so I did check out the movies. The movies were okay. There was another TV series, a really short TV series, Street Fighter Alpha. I remember it was on really, really late at night, but this was during junior high school years, I believe, for me. Maybe high school years. And I would stay up late and I'd watch it and probably be half dead of tired the next day for school. But it was a really cool short series for its time. And then, like I said, I found out when I started doing my comic reviews that there was a comic series, and that was like the icing on the cake, and that's where I started grabbing any comic I could until I couldn't tell what I was reading anymore, and I decided to wait for the trade paperbacks. But Street Fighter was always something I liked. Ryu was always like one of my faves. I did play as Akuma. I've played as a lot of different characters, but when you get used to a certain moveset like Ryu and Ken's, you tend to stick with them most of the time. I played as Jen a few times also. The newer games I stuck with Ryu and Ken. But Mike and I always are on top of any of the newer games that come out. For example, when Street Fighter 4 was said to come out, we got that. When Street Fighter X Tekken came out, we grabbed that. Marvel vs. Capcom 3, of course, because of the Marvel part, but for me also for the Capcom part. And there was just Street Fighter was always there somewhere for me, especially maybe I didn't announce it on this channel, but I've always had something related. to Street Fighter. And like I said, if you go back, you can find I did do a couple of the Street Fighter comics, and I did mention that I was a huge fan from back in the day. But yeah, that's basically my history with Street Fighter and how I began. Now, there was always that great rival, Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat had 2 movies. Both weren't good. Street Fighter had that one movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme, which we all won't talk about from this moment on. And, I don't know, it's always been like that invisible fight between Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. Either you are a Mortal Kombat fan or you're a Street Fighter fan, or you like both. Me, personally, I like both, but Street Fighter I obviously favor over Mortal Kombat. Growing up, I did also play Mortal Kombat. I did love Sub-Zero. He was one of my favorite characters in the entire series, but later on, the more I played the games, the less I played Mortal Kombat and the more I had played Street Fighter, to the point where I noticed I was playing Street Fighter way more than Mortal Kombat. The only time I actually jumped back on Mortal Kombat was when they did DC Universe versus Mortal Kombat, and we played that game. And Mortal Kombat always had a story attached to it. You know, it wasn't just fighting. You know, next opponent fight. There was an actual story connected to it, and that's what brought the fights on. With Street Fighter, though, it didn't matter. Street Fighter never had a story, and I think if they did start doing a story now, like a really serious, like connecting ongoing story, it would ruin it. There always was that story aspect in the background of Street Fighter. There was little tidbits at the end and the beginning of each fight, but I don't think they would need to go full blown like the way Mortal Kombat did. But there was always that feud, and the one game I would love to see happen at some point would be, we have Street Fighter versus Tekken, we have Marvel versus Capcom, we had Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. How hard would it be to grab Street Fighter, grab Mortal Kombat, and do a Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter game? I would love to see that, and I'm positive millions of people out there would love to see that game. And yeah, of course, in the end of the game, they're going to have to do a no contest, because if one wins over the other, you're going to have fans of one franchise crucifying the game company because they let that series win. And if you let the other side win, then you're going to have fans from the opposite franchise crucifying the game company for doing that. So you can't have one franchise win. It would be cool to just see the aspect of Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter. Who out of those characters would be strongest against who? What would go on? It would be a really fascinating, interesting story, and I think it would definitely lead into a lot of awesome fights, like Ryu versus Liu Kang, Sub-Zero versus Akuma, for example. I'm just throwing names out there. You know, Gouken versus Raiden. There's just a ton of awesome story that can come out of that series, and even if it was just a comic book, that would be very interesting. But I haven't seen a Mortal Kombat comic I haven't seen a Mortal Kombat comic, period, in a long, long time. So, since I started comic reviews anyway. But it would be interesting to see the two franchises, finally, the two franchises that have been fighting, you know, not literally, but, you know, always fighting for attention, actually have their own game where it's the both of them actually versing each other. I mean, when Mortal Kombat came out with their new game, Street Fighter 4 came out. Street Fighter X Tekken came out after Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. It would just be, you could see that the two companies and franchises are in competition with each other. I would just like to see them both just duel it out in an actual video game. That would be awesome. I would pay for the collector's edition of that game because it would be spectacular if done right. You can screw up a game like that very easily. You'd have to do it right. You'd have to have the right story. You'd have to have the right timing, and you'd have to have the right target audience. And of course, again, you'd have to be fair to every single aspect of both franchises. But that is definitely, absolutely a game I would love to see happen. I guess it's just not something we're going to be seeing in the near future. Maybe in the distant future. You never know. I mean, people were saying certain games would never collide with each other, and they have. Some games they thought would never continue, and they have. Call of Duty is living on that. It's been living on that for years. But, you know, as a person who's not a fighting game fan, for me to say that definitely means something. For me, like I said, fighting games were never my forte. Always like first-person shooters or stuff like that. But there's just a lot of background with both franchises, Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. They have everything. The only thing that Street Fighter has over Mortal Kombat is a really good comic book. And, both companies have their toys, action figures, video games, posters, t-shirts. You name it, they probably have it. The only thing that Street Fighter has that Mortal Kombat doesn't is a really awesome comic series, and it's still going on to this day, whereas Mortal Kombat, I'm sure, had a mini-series here and there, but nothing that continued further along since, I would say, the 90s, because I haven't seen any Mortal Kombat since the 90s, comic book-wise. Mortal Kombat did have a TV series, a live-action TV series, so I guess you could say that they didn't do that for Street Fighter, but there is an awesome series on YouTube that is going on that is Street Fighter related. I will be covering that also during the Street Fighter Summer event. It was brought to my attention, actually, by a few people. One person, Chris, mentioned it to me. That's Mount Vernon Kid, Chris. He mentioned it to me on Facebook, and I looked it up. But then a bunch of other people, when they heard I was doing Street Fighter, made mention of that to me also. And it's a really cool series that's going on YouTube. And I can't wait to start talking about that series. I believe they're actually filming a next series following what they ended with, which is really awesome. So there's something new that will be continuing, and I will continue to cover it, if not on my channel, on Comic Frontline. But it's a really awesome series, and it's really good acting, and you can tell that these people really care about the franchise and the characters because of how tight they are, and how rigid, how what's the word I'm looking for? How true they are to the characters, the origins, and how they treat the movie. This is why I enjoy fan-made movies over Hollywood movies. Fan-made, you know that they're going to stay true to the franchise. They're going to do it as close as possible to the franchise, costume, character, everything-wise. Whereas Hollywood, they always look to change something. They always look to do something over the top or something different that fans are like, that's not right. One good example of that is Jesse Eisenberg, Lex Luthor. Yeah, no. And also the CGI Turtles. That's another thing that's like, yeah, no. But that's beside the point. That's why I like the indie movies, because they don't look to do fancy new stuff. They look to stay true to the characters and just do a really good movie while staying true to everything the characters are in the franchise, in the games, in the comics, whatever. And anyway, I don't know, but that's why I chose Street Fighter Summer. It's just a really amazing series, and to be honest, one of my favorite games to this day is still Street Fighter Alpha. I enjoyed doing the classic games. Street Fighter EX was another game that it was fun for its time, but I can understand why it's in like a $10 bin. We found Street Fighter EX in where was it? It was in a small shop somewhere, and this guy's like, yeah, this is a Street Fighter game. I thought it was a bootleg game at first. I didn't even think it was real. Then we got it home, we put it in the PlayStation, and we played it, and we're like, oh my god, this is really a Street Fighter game. And it's different. Is it something I'd say go run out and find on eBay and pay whatever they're asking? Absolutely not. But I noticed a lot of the Street Fighter games don't really cost too much on eBay. Even the original, the very first Street Fighter game, isn't worth more than, I would say, about 100, maybe 200. I'm not sure. I really didn't go looking for it because we don't have the Nintendo system anyway, so it's not like we can go and play the game. If we got it, it would be mostly for collector purposes, and for that, right now, money is not allowing for us to do any of that. So, we don't have the game. I know we have a few for the Super Nintendo somewhere, and like I said, we have all the PlayStation, Xbox, PlayStation 3 games that are out right now. So we're current with the current games. The older games we don't really have. I have all the older games as DLC on Xbox Live. It came with, Mike and I found out that there was a 25th collection. I knew about it years ago, but we didn't want to get it because it was pricey. We found it recently, and when we decided to do the worst games ever for Brooklyn Boys, Because the price was so low, Mike grabbed it for the Xbox. So the game basically it came with every single Street Fighter game as a download, except for EX and 4. It came with a ton of music CDs. Basically, every Street Fighter game has a music CD. We got it in that collection. Came with an awesome Ryu statue, which I now have in the background of all my comic reviews. Also came with a belt replica, which is what Ryu wears in all of the games. Came with an art book, which we will cover at some point also. A fan art book. Certificate of authenticity. There was a bunch of stuff that the collector's edition came with, and it was really cool. It came in a nice collector's box, which you can keep and put stuff in. It wasn't made cheap. It was definitely made very well and really nice. The games are all downloadable except, like I said, the 2, 4, and X Tekken. But with the DLC stuff you also get all the DLC for Street Fighter 4 as well as Street Fighter X Tekken. So it was well worth the money. Yes, we waited for the price to go down a fair amount, but if you can find the series for $100 and under, I would definitely say grab the 25th collection. It was worth it, especially if you want to still play the older games. It has everything you would want, plus the newer games, plus a really nice light up statue, plus a really nice art book. Again, is it like a perfect statue, an amazing porcelain statue? No, but it looks nice. And for the amount of money we spent for it, I believe we only spent like $60, $70, maybe $80 at most. We found it very cheap, and it's originally $120. It was worth it. It was worth it for the Street Fighter X Tekken. Street Fighter 4 we had already, but it was worth it for the DLC. It was worth it to get all the arcade games for Street Fighter. So all in all, it was a worthwhile download. And we'll be covering all those games through Xbox, by the way. The only game we won't be covering through Xbox will be the Street Fighter EX, which is only on the PlayStation 2 apparently. But we'll be covering a lot of stuff with Street Fighter games, so you'll be seeing all the stuff, and I'll be telling it again on Brooklyn Boys. But Street Fighter did just turn 25, and unfortunately we didn't decide to do it when it turned 25, but now's the best time as ever to do it. I figure it'll be a fun little event for the summer, and hopefully all you guys out there will enjoy it, and we'll enjoy giving it to you guys. And really, that's all I can sit here and blather on about with Street Fighter. Oh, look! There's Michael!
Hi.
Hey, Michael!
Yeah. Hi, Chris.
Hey, I was just talking about Street Fighter and whatnot. I don't know if you heard in the background. So you're going to be doing a Street Fighter with me. You want to give you a little origin thingy with Street Fighter and whatnot and stuff that involves the Street Fighter?
Why, sure thing, I would. So,
We're not being sarcastic and looking to add stuff to this podcast. No.
Getting to the origin story of how I got into Street Fighter. So,
You were a baby.
yes, I was. And, like, every time, like, when I would go to an arcade with Chris, I would always watch him play Street Fighter. And I was really, into fighting games, when I was young. Because, I love fighting games. Like, I've played over the years, Tekken and Mortal Kombat. Mostly underground games, which are demo games before the games were released. And when I saw Street Fighter, I was like really amazed at the character design and the way they do certain moves and stuff like that. And to be honest, out of all the other fighting games that I've played in the past, I found Street Fighter to be my number one favorite fighting game of all time while growing up, as well as watching the TV series that was going on.
The anime.
Yeah, the anime of that. Not the movie, the anime. I was really interested also in the characters, like, even with the whole Ryu debate, but over the years...
You and Kevin did that on Brooklyn Boys.
Yes, we did, on Brooklyn Boys 13. Personally, I grew up with saying that his name is Ryu because RYU, that makes sense. Call him Ryu, I have no idea. But anyway, As a teenager, I remember playing Street Fighter EX3, which took gaming to a whole different level with 3D effects and all the other stuff, which made the game even more interesting than before. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Even though the game was kind of a fail.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, the Alpha and Turbo games that were on the Super Nintendo were really amazing. With also mention of the Anniversary Edition that came out for the PlayStation 2 with that. But all in all, it's just really an enjoyment, and I've been really doing some research on it. And even when the comic books came out, I was even more amazed because I never thought that Street Fighter actually did a comic book. And some of it was from the animation series, but they kind of did like a different story to make it even better. Even when the Street Fighter 4 game came out for the Xbox, where they added new people like Jury and Balrog and lots of other interesting people, Rufus as well.
Balrog, they introduced him in that game?
I think it was Balrog his name was. Well, in case I forgot, oh well, I know some stuff for that, but like they have always brought out new and interesting things, even when it was I'm gonna say Ryu, I guess, because everyone calls him Ryu. The best fight I would always love to see is Ryu versus Ken. That is like the most highlighted highlights of all Street Fighter histories. Even when the Street Fighter 4 intro was shown, it was Ryu versus Ken. And in EX3 also, I believe, was in the... Yeah, it was EX3, yeah.
Every game that involved versus always showed Ken versus Ryu or Ryu or... See, I'm still doing it, so... Well.
The R, I guess. But all in all, it was just really the video game that evolved over the years that went to the comic books along with the arcade. It was arcade video games, then comic books. Really brightened my horizons of Street Fighter. Yeah, broadened my that of Street Fighter, and it really got me interested. So, coming up with the idea of Street Fighter Summer, I thought, since both of us actually grew up with Street Fighter, I think that it would best fit our interests. With mine being the best fighting game, I don't know if that's your best fighting video game. Oh, it is. So
it's my only fighting game. I don't play anything
okay,
else,
so
really.
It's both of our fighting video games, and it best fits our categories because we're familiar with characters, and I think it's going to be really interesting and fun to do.
One of your favorite characters, Ryu, yeah?
Well, that's my only favorite character. Like, there's... I'm gonna say Ryan, whatever. It's Ryu, Ken, Chun-Li at times. Cammy's awesome. What's the other guy's name? Gouken?
Yeah, Gouken.
Yeah, Gouken.
I like
Who's the
Blanca.
trainer.
Blanca's nice.
Yeah, Blanca's nice. Bison. And we're not gonna get into whole This Is Delicious with that Street Fighter.
This is delicious.
Yes. Yeah, but we're not gonna go into that animation.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna review it.
I know. I don't even know. I don't. Anyway, so
yes.
there's that was him. There was also Jury, who was brand new. Dawson.
I talked about one thing.
What?
I talked about one thing. I want to get your opinion on this. Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat. Should it happen?
Actually, I was actually talking to a few people of if that should happen, and to be honest with you, some people actually told me that it might be impossible because of the different companies, but if it were to happen, I would actually say that would be really interesting, and I would buy that game.
Different companies, but at the same time, if both companies know their franchises are popular and it would be a hit.
See, here's the thing. Like, some people told me you got Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. Mortal Kombat does fatalities, which involve guts and all the other stuff, whereas Street Fighter does, powers and whatnot. But when you look at Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, the DC characters use the heroic brutality. So maybe Street Fighter could use
Or the brutalities can be taken out of the game.
Or the brutalities could be taken out of the game.
Or you could be really smart, make a lot of money, and make one game with fatalities and one game with super finishers.
Or super finishers, yeah. Maybe the option... Very nice. Maybe there could be an option button of...
or an option button, but you can make more money if you make 2 different games.
But if that were to come out, that would be... I think that would be really interesting because we had Street Fighter versus Tekken. Oh, no, I mean... Yeah, Street Fighter versus Tekken, yeah.
Mortal Kombat versus DC.
Yeah, I got a little mix up there.
You got Marvel versus Capcom.
That was the first, second, and third. Because there was 3 volumes of that.
I think Street Fighter needs to verse a lot more people.
No, there was also Tatsunoko versus Capcom.
There was that too, yeah.
Yeah, so Capcom was with Street Fighter.
I'm sorry, I said Street Fighter. I meant Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat has to go up against a few other people.
Well, Mortal Kombat's coming out with X, and they've come out with so many other things like Shaolin Monks and all the other types. But going back to your question, I think, in my opinion, that it would be really interesting to have the 2 franchises of Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter going at each other and just battling it out, like, you know, Ryu versus Sub-Zero, or Ken versus Scorpion, or Blanca versus Raiden, since they're both electric types. I mean, there's just so many matches I would love to put together to actually see in a video game in a versus mode. But that's my opinion. So
again, you have a lot to look forward to, guys. Mike and I are going to be playing a lot of the video game on Brooklyn Boys. We're going to have a lot of stuff to review here. We did decide not to go on with any of the figures or toys or whatnot because we're going to have a lot of stuff coming very soon.
Yep.
In 2 different franchises, one being Turtles and one being something that's a secret until we get the package in the mail. We're going to be ordering that probably at the end of the weekend. And we just got lots and lots of other stuff that we're planning. And remember when we went down Toys R Us really quick?
Oh my
outside
God,
of the Street Fighter, and we saw all that Mario stuff and the Sonic stuff?
I was so tempted to buy at least so many of them because with growing up with Mario and Sonic over the years, you know, because I played those 2 games while I was young.
I think if we weren't reading and collecting comics so much, we would have ended up buying more stuff to review toy-wise and action figure-wise and collectibles-wise.
Yeah, but reading comics is...
But no, comics is what we jumped into. So.
Right, I'm just saying, you know, like doing... You know, what we like to do, like reviews of whether it be comics, toys, or anything else.
Yeah.
That's, you know, what we like to do. Like, we like to do wide variety of stuff. That's just what we are.
So, expect a wide variety of Street Fighter stuff. The intro video is officially up. So, you guys can check that out. Leave your recommendations for games, things to review, and we will do our best to do all of that in the amount of time we have, which is the 2 months. And I can't wait for Volume 2 of the Super Street Fighter book to come out, which is in August.
Yeah,
Street Fighter 4 is in July.
Yeah, plus the others that are coming out,
plus the other things that we're getting, yep.
So that's going to be really interesting to read, and more interesting stuff that I would like to learn about Street Fighter that I haven't read before.
Yeah. So that's our Street Fighter segment and show for this week. I'm going to turn this over now to Brant, who's going to talk to us about his post-Derby City Comic-Con experience. And then Mike and I are going to come back here and do the rundown for next week's books. So, guys, stay tuned. And I'm turning it over now to you, Brant. So, take it away, Brant. I said Brant more than once. Did you notice that right there?
Yeah, I've actually noticed that.
So I said it 3 times like Beetlejuice. Brant, Brant, Brant.
Yes.
But I don't think Brantle Juice will be good, so we'll just stick with Brant.
Yeah, let's just stick with Brant right now. So.
All right, Brant! Zone 4, here we go!
All right, thanks, Chris, and welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Zone 4 right here on It's a Podcast. I am Brant Fowler, host and one of the co-founders of Zone 4, back with you again to give you my post-Derby City Comic-Con thoughts. I'm just going to leave a few thoughts with you. If you listen to this week's episode of Zone 4, which is episode 276, John and I actually go pretty in-depth about Derby City Comic Con. We actually talked about it longer than we had intended to, but we were talking mainly from a success standpoint of how well the show did and everything. So this is going to be more kind of my personal take on it, and I actually also wrote up an afterthoughts article on comicrelated.com. It's called Derby City Afterthoughts or Derby City 2014 Afterthoughts or something like that. You can find it in the Derby City Comic Con hub on comicrelated.com. You can read all about that there, because I went into detail about some of the people I got to interact with and that kind of thing. So if you'd like to hear more, read more about it, you can head over there and do that. And I'll send Chris a link so he can include it in the notes below too. So alright, so Derby City Comic Con, of course, was this past weekend, June 28th and 29th in the city of Louisville, Kentucky, which is about 90 minutes up I-64 from me at present. So overall it was a really good trip for me. My mother actually went with me this time. This is only the second time she's ever been to a comic convention with me, or at all really, and it was really cool to have her there. She was actually under the weather on day one, which was Saturday, so she just stayed at the hotel, but on Sunday she sat at the table with me, and she helped me. She actually sells my stuff better than I do. Every time somebody walked up, she'd be like, "My son does this or that," and it was pretty cool to have her there with me, and it was a lot of fun. Got to meet some really cool people. Dirk Manning was two tables down from me. He was Eric Radcliffe was in between us, so we didn't get to talk that much, but I did go over and chat with him a little bit. He's been on Zone 4 before, and he's going to come on again in late July, early August, somewhere around that time frame, to talk about a new project he has coming up. And it's always fun to have Dirk on the show. And Eric, of course, it was really cool hanging with him all weekend. He had a lot of people interested in the comic. He had a bunch of the New Comic Day strips laid out all over the table, and people were constantly stopping by to read them and laugh. And he'd give them their pitch about, the Clerks meets Looney Tunes and Thanos sleeping on his couch and all that stuff. And a lot of people seemed to enjoy it. And between the two of us, we both had copies of Volume 1. I think I sold at least 2 or 3 copies. I know he sold at least 1, maybe 2. So several years later, almost 5 years later, since we started this strip, and it's still catching people's attention, so that's really cool to see. And let's see, I didn't really have any new product myself. I had old copies of Wannabes #1 out. I had some of the books that I lettered, and I forgot the sketch cards that I had completed, and I just wasn't in the drawing mood day one, so I didn't really draw anything or put it out there that I was doing commissions of any sort. So I didn't do a lot of sales, but I had a lot of interest in the book, and I told people, I'm relaunching it with a new artist and stuff like that, and it was cool for what it was. Once I also had samples of my lettering and logos out, and several people stopped and flipped through that, and I got a couple of promising contacts out of that, so we'll see what happens. I'm always looking for more work, and just a lot of people talking about my stuff. Just a minute. Talking about my stuff is really cool, so we'll see what comes of that. I got somebody knocking on the wall for me. I apologize for that. But yeah, it was just a really fun show. I got to sit beside a couple of great girls, Hannah Parker and Libby. I'm going to totally butcher her name, Pascal. And they were Fandom Pints. They do etched classes. They had all kinds of stuff like superhero etchings, and I think they had Adventure Time and Pokemon and stuff like that. And it's a really cool thing that they do, and they're really friendly, fun people to hang out with. And I didn't really get to talk to them a whole lot, but it was still fun being next to them and seeing how they do. And it was cool. Hopefully we'll get to do more shows together, and we'll see. Not that we did the show together, they just happened to be beside me. So but I had seen them at River City as well. Let's see, I get to see a bunch of old friends. Victor Dandridge, always a pleasure to see him. Chad Stroll, we actually were reminiscing about this Where Are They Now New Comic Day thing we did. He's going to be involved in New Comic Day going forward, doing some covers and stuff like that. So that was fun to reconnect with him, with some of the Twilight Star people, Frank Rayner, Gary Church, and Kevin Atkins, and who actually drew a story of mine that saw print through Twilight Star. The Ringtail Cafe, friends for a long time, glad to see them and talk with them, and maybe be doing some more stuff with them upcoming, so we'll see how that pans out as well. I got to talk to Bill Nichols a little bit, Bob Hickey, both from Sketch Magazine, Blue Line Pro. I don't know, it was a really fun show for me. Didn't get to do any of the night activities. Was kind of really beat the first day, and that I got in. I got in really late Friday night, like 11 o'clock, so I missed that thing. And then Saturday night, I was just exhausted because I only had like 2 hours of sleep. I was trying to do some drawing and try to get something prepped for the con, but it just didn't quite work out. But I did come up with an idea a couple of days before the con, and I showed it to a few people. They were really interested, so we'll see what happens with that as well. But yeah, for me it was a success. Even though I didn't sell that much, I got to talk to a lot of cool people, got to hang out, got to have fun. I got to reconnect with some old friends, meet some new, connect with people via Facebook throughout the con. The people that I had met at the show and stuff. Got to interact with fans, and a couple of people asked me about the lettering process and all that stuff, and that was cool explaining that, because that's one of those arts that a lot of people don't really think about in comics, so that's cool. And it was a lot of fun. That's all I can really say about it. Seeing all my friends, Chuck Moore, John Wilson especially, and just getting to have fun. Chris Charlton from Assailant Comics, which we talk about a lot on Comic Frontline. I letter all his books. Finally got to meet him in person at the show. I talk about this in the article I mentioned as well. But Chris is a great guy, very friendly, very fun, very talented writer. Had kind things to say about me, and equally, he's one of the best people I've ever worked with. And it was really cool meeting him, and he had a great show. Sold a lot of books. A couple of the books that he had with him sold out. So it was really awesome to hear reports of that, knowing that I had a hand in all that, and so that was cool that people are really receiving them well. And yeah, I'm probably leaving a ton of stuff out, but that's all I can think of. That's all I got time to talk about this week. So if you are in the area, or if you're looking for a show to try out that is purely focused on comics, Derby City Comic Con usually happens at the end of June every year. It's a show you want to watch for. It's a 2-day show, so it justifies a trip. And it's a beautiful city, a lot going on, a lot of people, a lot of friendly people. It's a great community. This year we had some great guests: Mark Waid, Tony Moore, Robert Venditti, Mike Norton, Tim Seeley, Jonathan Matthews. There's probably a couple I'm forgetting. Laura Innes, Dirk Manning. A lot of great guests, and everybody was like on equal footing. Everybody was down to earth and friendly. There were panels, costume contests, lots of costumes. Check out comicrelated.com's Derby City Hub that I mentioned before. All kinds of galleries going up there, so you can see the show for yourself. But it was a really fun show. Really worth the time spent to make it out there. So I hope to do it again. And that's going to wrap up this segment of Zone 4. Please check out this week's episode of Zone 4 as we talk about Star Wars Rebels Heist number 3 and Dr. Spectre Master of the Occult. I'm trying to talk too fast. Number 2 from Dynamite. And we talk about some Arrow news and different things like that. And like I said, we go in depth about Derby City as well. So check that out. And until next time, I'll turn this back over. And you're now leaving this segment of Zone 4.
All right, thank you, Brent. And Mike and I are back, and we are now set to do the rundown. And the rundown this week, we are continuing July. Sorry, not beginning. Continuing July with July 9, 2014's books.
Yep.
And Mike, you can start us off with Dark Horse. What you looking forward to?
Alright, well, from Dark Horse, we have Terminator, Enemy of My Enemy number 4, as well as Terminator Salvation Final Battle number 7, X number 15, which is going really awesome. Let me see if there's anything else on the bottom. I guess that's all of them. Alright, so the rest of the books that are coming out from Dark Horse.
Me?
Oh, yeah, you. Oh.
Star Wars number 19.
I didn't see that.
And that's all I got.
Okay. Now, can I say it? Okay. The rest from Dark Horse is Abe Sapien. Oh, Sapien number 14. Eerie Comics number 5. The one shot of Yashi
Usagi Yojimbo.
Color Special Artist one shot. And that's all from Dark Horse, so Chris will now do DC. What are you looking forward to?
Well, let's see. Batgirl, I'm looking forward to that. Detective Comics, I'm 50-50 on that. Grayson number 1, I'm really looking forward to at this point to see what, the build-up was building towards. There's really not too much. Smallville Season 11, Lantern number 4. Superman, Wonder Woman 10, I'm looking forward to. And that's about it for me. What about you, Mike?
Alright, we got Justice League United number 3. That's coming out. I saw the Constantine book. I'm not going to even get into that. Also in DC Vertigo, there's Coffin Hill number 9. Which, don't know how that's going to be turning out. It's just 50-50, Not that I'm dropping it, but if it gets bad, I'm going to. And I guess that's all I'm looking forward to from DC.
Alright, so also this week is Batman Eternal number 14. Let's hope it still stays good. Birds of Prey number 33. Constantine number 16, as Mike mentioned. Green Lantern Corps number 33. Infinity Man and the Forever People number 2. Injustice Gods Among Us, Year 2, number 7. Lots of covers. New 52 Futures End, number 10. Let's hope that gets better.
Oh.
New Suicide Squad, number 1. For the kids, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You, number 47. Superboy, number 33. World's Finest, number 25. American Vampire, second cycle, number 4 from Vertigo. And FBP, Federal Bureau of Physics, number 12. Royals, Masters of War, number 6. And that's it. So now we're going to Dynamite. Mike, what are you looking forward to?
Alright, let's see. Dynamite. Well, there is Blood Queen number 2 that's coming out.
Uh-huh.
Along
I'm looking forward
with,
to that.
Let's see. I don't really see anything that I'm... Shao Midnight. Oh, no, that's the variant cover.
A lot of variants. Robotech Voltron, if I didn't miss out on issue 2.
Yeah, I guess that's really all, because I don't see anything that rings a bell. Maybe when I go down the list, I don't know. Alright, the rest that are coming out from Dynamite Entertainment are Chastity, number 1, with some covers.
Lots of...
Deja Mars.
No.
Oh, no? Oh, Doc Savage, issue number 7. Magnus Robot Fighter number 0, which is the volume 4, issue 0. Magnus,
and number 5.
Yeah, Magnus Robot Fighter number 5. Pathfinder City of Secrets number 3. Robotech Voltron number 4. Turok Dinosaur Hunter issue number 6. And
Very bottom.
oh yeah, Warlord of Mars issue 0. And that's it from Dynamite Entertainment. So Chris, what are you looking forward to from IDW Publishing?
IDW this week. Let's see what we got. Transformers More Than Meets the Eyes, number 31. And that's it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, let's see. For me, well, there's Angry Birds number 2. I found the last issue to be hilarious in a good way. Max Maximize number 9. Let's see how that goes, because I didn't like the artwork last time. Yeah, that's all for me. So, I guess you could say the rest.
Yep. Black Dynamite number 3. G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, 204. Judge Dredd number 20. Star Slammers Remastered number 4. Star Trek number 35. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. So now, Mike, Image.
Okay, from Image, Walking Dead issue number 129. And that's it.
Same here. So you want to finish it?
Okay. The rest from Image is 68, Rule of War number 4. We have Death Vigil
Yeah.
number 1, Ghost number 11, Great Pacific number 16, Red City number 2, Rise of the Magi number 2, Shudder number 4, Spread number 1. From Image, Tom McFarlane, Spawn issue number 245, and that's all for Image. So Chris will now take us through Marvel.
Marvel, I'm looking forward to the 100th anniversary special Spider-Man one-shot.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing Spider-Man 1.3, I'm looking forward to that. Going down the list. Avengers, number 32. Captain Marvel, number 5. Daredevil, number 5. Fantastic Four, number 7. Even though it feels like I just read that. I just dropped Nightcrawler recently because there's just too many books. Original Sin 5.1, I'm looking forward to that. Spider-Man 2099, number 1. I've been looking forward to reading that book for a while now. And that's it for me. How about you, Mike?
Alright, let's see. Because I saw a few while going down the list. We have All New Invaders. I couldn't see the issue. Number 7. There's also... I know there's more. Let's see. Deadly Hands of Kung Fu number 3. There's Deadpool, Dracula's going at number 1. No. Good. I mean, I'm only reading the original Sin tie-in, which is Deadpool issue number 31.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be reading that, but after that's done, goodbye Deadpool. There was Superior Foes of Spider-Man issue number 13, which I might probably drop afterwards because of the books. Wolverine number 10, the 3 Months to Die cover. And that's all for Marvel.
Alright, so let me go through the rest from Marvel as soon as I get to the top because there's tons of covers. We have all new X-Men 29. Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to that also. All new X-Men 29. Didn't even notice that because there's so many all new titles now. Amazing X-Men number 9. Avengers Undercover issue number 7. We did that. You mentioned that. Marvel Universe Avengers Assemble number 10 for the kids. Original Sins number 3. Past all the superiors, the Spider-Man 2099 covers. Winter Soldier Bit of March number 5. X-Force number 7. And from Icon we have United States of Murder Inc. number 3. And that's it from Marvel. So now we're going to switch into the indies. And let's see what we find, Mike.
Alright. Anything from indies? Well...
If we go all the way down...
Yeah, if we go all the way down... There's Armor Hunters issue number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Which is getting really interesting from what I've been reading. From Zenoscope, we got Grim Fairy Tales issue 0.
No, that's a Wizard World Philly.
Oh. Well, we have Grim Fairy Tales issue number 99,
Looking
which
forward to
is
that.
Age of Darkness tie-in, so one more issue until we reach the triple digits of 100. There's a Grim Fairy Tales annual... oops, that's the wrong one. There's just so many covers, it's really... Like
There's the Giants... No, you were right. The Giant Size... Grim Fairy Tales Giant Size 2014.
I was looking at the one above it. But yeah, there's that. And there's also the Grim Fairy Tales Presents Realm Knights Age of Darkness one-shot.
And there's also the Swimsuit Special 2014.
And Robin Hood Legend, issue number 5, the last issue
Of the miniseries.
of the miniseries, but there's an ongoing series, and I'm definitely looking forward to that when that comes out.
So I think we basically covered all the books that... Wow, this cover sold out. For those of you that were looking for cover B or C for the Grimm Fairy Tale Swimsuit Special, they sold out.
Well, I could pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand why B sold out. B was okay.
Well,
Yeah, could be why. We actually ended up getting C anyway
which is fine.
because it has Robin Hood in it. That's why I got it, because I knew you'd like that one.
Hee
Hee to you too. Other than that, for me, because we're not gonna go through all the books for the indies, all the same as Mike, and I think that's about it. Because I don't think Archie has any. Nope, none this week. So that's all of the books that I also am looking forward to. If you're looking for books, there's Unity Volume 2 and Grimm Fairy Tales Presents Age of Darkness Volume 1. So those are 2 books I just wanted to throw out there. And with that, that's it for the rundown, guys. And that is it for this podcast this week. Thank you guys so much for sticking around with us for this episode. Look forward to a bunch of stuff for Street Fighter coming at you guys starting next week. And just look forward to a bunch of stuff in general from Mike and I. This summer we're going to be covering a lot of stuff outside of comic books on Comic Frontline. And we're going to be covering a lot of comic book stuff here. The recaps have been, put on the shelf for now due to the Street Fighter summer event. So this way we can focus on the Street Fighter summer event. We'll see if any of those come back when October comes around again. If not, we'll figure something out at some point. But at least you guys will know that It's a Podcast will be going on. Next week we'll go back to the comic books and news, etc. layout. And hopefully I'll have Brant back for the rundown. Or Mike will be here. Either or. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here with us. Don't forget to check out the Zone 4 Podcast Network. There's tons of other podcasts out there. Zone 4 every week on Fridays. Awesome podcast. You guys absolutely should check it out. Don't forget to check out Comic Related, Comic Frontline, and Zone4Podcast.com. We are all your number one source for comic related news, reviews, and a whole bunch more.
Yep.
So until next time, everybody, I guess that's it. So there's only one thing left to do, and that is to cue the outro.
Join us next time for another episode of
It's a bird! It's a plane!
It's a Podcast.
Up in the sky, look! Up in the sky, look!
This has been a Ventura production.